What did I tell you?
Hector!
What's up?
You know who we need to interview? Christian.
No.
That man did not get.
He didn't get interviewed. He wasn't here last week.
Boy, how much time do I got? 2:25. You got 5. We got 5 minutes for his interview.
Come on, Christian. He said, "Oh no, why did I tell you?"
Did you guys bring the other tripod?
Oh.
No.
I was looking for it. I was like, man, I didn't see it. And I was like, maybe they took it.
I'll go get it.
Okay. Hi, Christian.
I gotta go sit down.
Yeah, bro, take the hot seat.
Are they different questions or are they easy? Because I'm trying to...
They're pretty straightforward, dude.
Alright.
Plus, this interview's not gonna be long. We got about 5 minutes. Okay, we're live now. Perfect. I'm gonna share that Facebook page in a second. All right, man. So look it this way. Introduce yourself, man. Like your name and your position in the program and what's the media.
My name is Christian. I've been in media program since 3 years.
Okay,
This
so
is
what?
my third year, and then I am the reality group.
Okay, so what's your position in reality?
I'm the guy with the camera.
Okay, so then what do you like? Do you like being part of the reality crew?
It's like being part of reality because they're like behind all of these scenes. You can record all that action.
Okay. I already lost my picture on my questions. What's the? Do you have any personal experience with the topics of the film this year?
Yeah, because I have some family members that are going through some difficult times.
Okay.
Go long.
With like what specifically, like with DACA or immigration or something like that?
Some of part of my other family will be from immigration, and then my cousins that came to Mexico from DACA.
Okay. So.
Yours were on your computer for reality.
I swear, bro, I'm all over the place. Okay, so this year's film, a lot of the topics are revolving around, like we said, immigration, specifically DACA, Black Lives Matter, and the Me Too movement. What message do you hope that audience members get when seeing this film?
My opinion will be when people see this, I want them to realize that not everybody is the same. Like everybody is it's hard to find their own way in the past. Like what the president is doing right now is bad. Like he's making more people's life difficult than it already is.
Okay, so then, what are your thoughts about the youth movement that's going on right now? Specifically, like the March for Our Lives.
March for Lives, that was a good movement. I saw in the news that it was one of the largest marches since the Vietnam War. So I was very happy that it was one of the good marches.
Okay. So then, a lot of the March for Our Lives movement has been revolving around gun control. So then, what are your thoughts about the Second Amendment?
My thought about Second Amendment is nobody should carry guns, just like the law enforcement should have a gun. Like the rest of the people shouldn't have guns.
Okay, so you feel like only certain people should have guns then?
Yes.
Okay, so then a lot of these issues around gun control have been revolving around this idea of trying to make students feel safer in their schools. So then, do you feel safe at your school?
I mean, in my school I feel safe because like police officers, like I see, like my brother's school you go to Turner, it's not safe. So, like there's nobody in the school. You can just walk in with a gun and shoot people. Like yeah, I feel safe in my school.
Okay, so then, with all these different events going on, like Parkland and all these other mass shootings before, do you think about school shootings often?
Yes, I think about them.
And in what way? In what way do you think about them often?
Like when I'm going to regular day of school and then next you know something bad happens.
Okay, so you feel like you feel like because they happen so frequently, you're afraid that there's now a possibility that it could happen in your school now?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to add, man? I appreciate it. I had to get that reality one in real quick. I just could not. I had to kind of just move off my
I didn't ruin your take.
No, no, you're fine.
He was making faces in the camera. He said, "Is it live?" I said, "Yeah." He said,
It's like, I swear, I don't know where all this stuff is. Okay, so then, like I was telling Aaliyah, I feel like the best way to set this up when it comes to the interviews is that Aaliyah kind of keeps track of who we interviewed so far, and she tells us who we should get next, and somebody go gets them. And then we kind of just do it that way. And then you kind of just ask them the questions. And then from there, if you have anything else, then I can jump in any questions that I feel like you might have missed or anything. So here are the questions for the specific department. Here are the questions for kind of the gun control questions over as a whole. What else am I asking them? I think that's about it. I think the only difference with some of these is like when it comes to the main actors, like I was talking to Cynthia about this, is with like Colton, this idea of like, do you feel like you're gonna have any backlash when it comes to you playing this role? You know what I mean? So just kind of questions like that. All right, man. So what I'm gonna have you do is that Aaliyah's gonna tell you who you're gonna go get. You're gonna go get them, bring them here, and then once they're done in the interview, you're gonna take them back and then go grab the next person. That works? All right, Aaliyah, so who's first?
Doesn't matter from where.
I think the only thing right now is they're gonna use five or six of the main actors. But other than that, I think everyone else is free game.
I guess Allie.
Want me to go grab Allie? Okay, you wanna go grab Allie, man? And then I need to share the live stream, and then I feel like we should put something there, like a piece of paper or something that says like intermission, and then as soon as someone else comes in, we just take it off, and then they just do their piece. I don't know. I was just thinking that we're just gonna go.
It's just a blank screen right now.
Yeah, just a blank screen, and I haven't set it up. I haven't like shared it yet with anybody, but I'm sure it'll show up in a second once I share
We could
it.
just have Christian sit there.
Just sit there, stare awkwardly at the camera.
Staring contest. Zooms in and his eyes get wider and wider.
Oh my god. And then Aaliyah's an actor, so you can kind of, and then some of these questions you might want to kind of change it a little bit just because the film is over. So it's like these are the other questions you guys came up with too. So it's like how passionate about you, about your positions and so forth. But I feel like the important thing with the actors is to get them to describe their position, what's the purpose of their character, and then from there to get them to talk about what their opinions are about the certain topics we're covering. How's it going?
"Good."
Okay, so have a seat.
What? Oh.
And then Kim's gonna be asking you some questions just to get your thoughts on about the film, about some of the topics that we're covering, and also about just how you feel about Winds in Media and like being part of it.
I'm sorry. I'm like,
No, take your time.
okay.
That was on the live stream.
Oh.
I'm kidding.
We're live the entire time. You know what reality is. And
So, what's your name and what grade are you in?
My name is Allie Jones, and I'm in 10th grade.
What's your role in the film, Allie?
I play the role of someone who has been abused, whether sexually or just like emotionally, physically.
How passionate do you feel about your character?
I feel pretty passionate because I've seen a lot of things about people going through something that my character would have gone through, and it's something that you don't want to happen to anybody, and it shouldn't, even though it does.
Did you choose this specific character?
I didn't choose it, but I do like the character. They asked me to do it, so yeah.
have any personal experiences with the subject of the film?
Well, it's talking about all these social injustice issues, so a lot of them are going on today. I don't know if I've personally been like a victim of any of them, but what was the question again?
Do you have any personal experiences with the subjects of the film?
Oh yeah, no. I don't think I've had like a personal experience before where anything has happened to me like that or that to that extreme. But I do know people, like a lot of my friends or family who have gone through that stuff.
Okay, and just to go off a bit, do you know what the March for Our Lives movement is?
Yes. It's do you want me to explain? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's it basically started from like, all these school shootings. So like a lot of our youth in America are coming together to march for their lives. So they're trying to protest against all these things.
What do you think about the demonstration that took place in Washington, D.C. on March 24th? The demonstration was the one with the thousands of students.
Oh, okay. I think it was really cool. I think it was really powerful to see all of them together and doing this. And it's not like it's just like all the adults doing it. It's like us. It's like my generation. And it's cool seeing people my age do all these things to like make something change.
How do you feel about the Second Amendment?
I think we don't do like a very good job of like actually following it very well. What is this?
And speaking about guns, do you feel safe in your school?
In my school, I personally do feel safe, but that's because we have like better protection than other schools. Like we have security, we go through the metal detectors every day, and our backpacks go through something to check if there's anything in it or not. And a lot of schools don't have that, and I'm not saying that like if you do have those, then you're guaranteed that you're safe, but it does help because I feel safer in those situations.
Has it ever crossed your mind that maybe one could happen at your school? Like, have you ever been afraid?
It has crossed my mind before because I've seen so many of them happening to other schools. So, yeah, I have thought about it before.
How do you feel about teachers having guns in their classroom to protect their students?
I think it's a very terrible idea. Because, I mean, they would have to, like, have training to be able to have a gun, and it would, like, just having every teacher have a gun, like, what if you have a teacher that, could be crazy themselves? So I don't think that's a good idea at all. It's just putting more guns in a school.
And do you feel that it's, like, your responsibility to protect yourself in one of those situations?
It is, but I think that situation, like, it shouldn't have been started anyways. Like, I don't know. But it's not like it's going to be my fault if I can't protect myself.
One last thing. Your character is really representative of the Me Too movement, right? What are your thoughts about the movement as a whole?
I think it's really uplifting because people in this situation, they feel alone and they feel they can't talk about it because there have been cases where the victim is the one who doesn't get any justice, and it's something that's not right. And I think it's a good movement to say that you can talk about it, you can like let people know if you're comfortable, because it's something you shouldn't have to go through alone. and that you shouldn't have to try and solve by yourself or just keep quiet about.
Okay, one last thing. What's the message you hope that people get out of our film this year?
I hope the message that they get is that something needs to happen for all these things, all these terrible things that are happening to like stop or to stop.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
Oh my god, that ticking sound.
There you go. All right, Leah, who's next?
I'm sorry.
What's up? No, you're doing great, Kim. Who's next?
Sorry.
All
I'm
right,
sitting here like
Do you
maybe.
want me to tell the person?
he's gonna go get him.
I'm sitting here like, oh my god, I'm shaking my leg. It's probably the ticking sound, and then I stopped, and she's twisting it like, it's a chair. It's a stool.
You can just hear it.
Are you the person watching?
I am the person watching
Dang,
it.
I thought we had a viewer.
Oh my god. Well, I'm checking the live stream and I'm trying to keep track of time and stuff like that. You want to interrupt my interview?
I wasn't trying
He's
to.
here for an interview.
Are we gonna interview you too?
You are not.
Am I not? Why is that?
Why you want to be Mr. Walker, please?
Because you're part of the program. You're an essential
Intermission.
Oh, I'm intermission.
Okay, how did he write that so straight? And I tried so hard and I couldn't write it straight.
You're an essential part of the program, Douglas. As such, we feel that your opinion is important to us. Don't you feel loved and important in this program?
I feel like a biscuit getting buttered.
Oh my God. I'm pretty sure I didn't spell intermission right either.
Intermission. No, I think you did.
Oh, I did actually.
Yeah,
That's nice.
intermission music. Actually, I was taking photos out there while you were doing your interview, which is hard because I had to have flash off.
Maybe
And you
think
got
of
It got all this barbed wire.
I mean, you can be in here as long as you don't have flash on.
makes me think of when you go to the drive-in and they pause between movies.
Actually, they had that in
And
Lawrence,
little
was like
hot dogs.
Ben-Hur, those old ones, like Lawrence of Arabia. It's like, you can go get some food now. It's like, you better hurry up.
The little hot dogs and stuff.
Yeah, definitely get all that stuff.
Can't do that in this Avengers Infinity War. It's too long. You got to stay there and watch it.
I told you to go to
Isn't
the
it coming
Alamo.
out this week?
It is. I was this
I
weekend.
told you
Thursday.
to go see it at the
It's gonna be
Alamo,
hella
dude,
packed.
so you
I
can like
know.
order your
It
food
should
and
be hella
everything.
packed.
Now the Alamo is downtown. So
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
downtown, bro. It's
Well,
nice.
not Alamo.
Hey, if you could just sit in the stool.
Okay.
She said, I like the way she. Come. Just have a seat.
Dark. I'm Douglas. You gonna stay here? Douglas, you gonna stay here? Can you shut
I'll
the-
leave.
No, you can stay, but just don't put flash on. And if you could shut the door.
I'm gonna shut
No
the door.
flash
But I take a little shot
photography.
real quick. There.
You just blinded everybody. You just blinded
Now we
the one
can't see.
person watching us.
Well,
Yeah,
he's
man.
an intermission. You're the intermission.
Oh. Don't
Okay,
even
I'll
worry
see.
about it.
Ready? Okay. Okay, so you could just, like, your name and your grade.
Okay. My name is Tari, of course. Everybody knows me, aka Ty. I'm in the 10th grade, and I am, what else was I say?
Are you, like, which department?
Oh, I am in the actor department. or
Okay.
whatever. There we go.
So, Tyree, what's your role in the film?
My role is just a regional student, just sitting there and while listening to the conversation the whole time.
So, how do you feel about your role? Like, do you feel passionate, or how do you feel about the reactions you give?
The reactions I give, I feel very. I don't feel anxious, but I feel very excited about it because I feel like it's going to give off in a very effect of like a mindset of those who really wants to make a change. So
And did you choose like the specific character? Like you knew you wanted to be in the film for this like reason.
yeah, sort of. Yeah, you can say that.
And do you have any personal experiences with the subjects of the film?
No, not really. I haven't experienced none of any issues that we have talked about in the film, but I know people that have experienced some of this stuff.
And what message do you hope that this film sends out to people who see it?
I hope that people understand that that they can change the world by how does that on tip of my tongue? I hope that they can realize that the things that they are doing is corrupting the world, are corrupting corrupting America, and also it's also giving an effect to others that that wants to make a change and wants to make a difference in this world.
And speaking of making differences, do you know what the March for Our Lives movement is?
Sort of and sort of yes. But I know that it's a way to campaign about students, well, teenagers basically, or young adults that goes through gun control and how we be affected by it when we can't have a safe environment in school. So.
And what do you think about the demonstration that took place in Washington, D.C. on March 24th?
I think it was an act of boldness because they actually it was actually unity where a generation that came together and trying to make solutions, trying to fix the problem.
And how do you feel personally about the Second Amendment?
Me personally, I feel like I don't know, like it's a good amendment, but it's also not when it comes to far as us as teenagers and far as people getting killed by guns.
So do you think people should have guns or people shouldn't have guns?
That's a yes or no question. Because yes, for protection, like say for instance, if I'm at home by myself and I have a right to have a gun and I have all the policy backgrounds and all that stuff, I feel like yes, it's important to have one. But no, if you go out and you just mad at somebody and you just go around shooting people, I don't feel like that's right. So that's why I say yes or no.
How often do you think about school shootings?
I think about it every time I go to school, pretty much. Like, I feel like when I'm in school, I'll be like, dang, what's going to really happen? Or, I hope it don't happen to us. I think about it every day.
So you said you think about it every day. Do you feel safe in your school?
I myself feel safe in my school because I know I have security, and it's a very safe security. But it's somewhat, it could come to being a big issue, and it couldn't. So.
Do you think your teachers should be able to have guns in their classroom?
I think that they shouldn't. I feel like because certain teachers show favoritism towards certain students, and like a lot of students are, well, my school, I don't know about other schools, but a lot of students are not focused and are not, disrespectful and misbehaving in class. So I feel like if a teacher has a gun, it's more like, I don't know how to say it in the right way, but like, I feel like they would do something that's not appropriate. So.
Do you think it's your responsibility to protect yourself in school?
I don't know. Sort of, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. Anything else?
Let me think. Really briefly, like you mentioned, you said like what your message would be. Say I hope, and then give some kind of statement of what you hope the audience can get out of this year's film. Like what's the message you hope that they get out?
I hope that people will wake up and realize that it's not just destroying them, it's also destroying others around them, and also the teenagers, the females, whatever someone's going through. It's also messing up cultures, races, and different, history backgrounds and everything. So I hope that they wake up and realize the truth.
All right, appreciate it, man.
All right, thank you.
All right, Leah, who's next? Martha.
Martha.
You get her? He's got it. You can go later. And then could you bring another one of the batteries for the camera? I think it's gonna run low pretty soon. So like grab another one of the cameras and then we'll just swap the battery out with it. Yeah, the black ones. The ones you guys use for filming.
so tired.
Yeah, it's just one of them days, man.
It's the rain.
It's definitely the rain.
Intermission.
You have fun at prom?
Mm-hmm. It was a lot of fun. Me and my date had a good time.
That's good. Yeah, I saw a lot of cool pictures this week on my Facebook of people going to prom.
It was cute. I liked it. We took a lot of pictures before. I'm gonna print them all.
Are you really?
No, probably. I probably will though.
Okay, you put them in your scrapbook or something?
Good idea. I could scrapbook it.
Just make an entire scrapbook. It's like prom 2018.
Goes to his house. Hey, you wanna see? But prom was fun. Look, we have one like and 2 viewers.
Oh, that's good.
Well, both viewers count.
Yeah, so that means we have one person.
Probably 2. Oh, we have 2. Did you like it?
I did just now. Now we have 2 likes up because they just liked it.
I knew it. I heard that little click, and it changed.
So who'd you say was Martha?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna say something real quick. So up next, we have Martha coming, and we're gonna ask her a couple questions about her position in the film, as well as how she feels about the topics that we're covering this year. So stay tuned.
Huh?
Gun control.
That's so awkward. Gun control's like a surprise. Well,
No, we
not
already did,
anymore.
like
Oh, true.
the first one.
Oh yeah, we already did her cast interview. We need to do gun control.
Okay, then just ask her about the general topics about as a whole. I don't really feel in the social media anymore, so I'm glad you're not bringing it up.
Yeah.
We just kind of just cover it as a whole, and then like her
Come on,
thoughts.
girl, sit in that chair.
Ask her about her thoughts
I feel
about like
important.
Me Too and stuff like that. I feel like that's important.
Hey, you just say your name and your grade and what department you're in.
What department am I in? Oh, actor?
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, what was it?
Your name, your grade, and your department.
Okay. So my name is Martha Vizcarra. My grade's the 10th. I was our sophomore. And my department was as an actor.
That's cool. Okay. So ask her like general about this, like ask about her role again.
Did I repeat the stuff I said?
No, you don't have to repeat the stuff you said.
Nah, we're asking more about your opinions about the topics.
So Martha, how do you feel about the topics of the film?
I actually like them because it relates to what's happening right now in society. And I feel like each person can relate at least one topic to it.
So do you have any personal experiences with the subjects?
Yeah, the immigration one, because my parents are undocumented immigrants here. So I have like the same fear that everyone else does. Like, what if they get deported? What is going to be like with my life and all that?
Okay. And what like, how do I word this? What message do you hope the audience like gets from this?
A message I hope that gets to the audience is to like move like, how do I word it? To like act now and don't wait until it's like to the last minute, like in the video, like wait till everything's gone and you can't do anything to fix stuff.
And what do you hope gets done? Like, do you hope something gets done when people see this?
Yeah, I know it's not gonna have like an immediate impact on me. I hope that people start to think more about it, like with their actions and like their effects.
That's good. So Martha, do you know what March for Our Lives is?
Yeah, isn't it where like the shooting in Florida? Yeah.
And what do you think about the demonstration that took place in Washington, D.C. on March 24th? The one where the thousands of kids.
Actually, I agree with it because the little kids are having, not little kids, but like kids and teenagers are having at least a voice. But the fact that the government's trying to shut them down is what I think is messed up about it.
And how do you feel about the Second Amendment? The right to bear arms. Like, do you think people should be able to have guns?
I feel like you have to have like a really like background check because now I feel like if you just have a certain documentation, you can get a gun. But what if you're not physically stable? I feel like there should be like certain regulations on carrying guns.
And do you feel safe in your school?
In my school, I do feel safe because they have metal detectors and they have police guards there. But I mean, you never know when something can happen.
So does this mean you think about school shootings? Like, how often do you think about a shooting happening at your school?
I don't really think of it often because I know that, like, action will be taken as soon as something happens.
Does this mean you aren't afraid that it could happen in your school?
It's not that I'm not afraid, it's just that I have hope that actually won't happen there because I know, like, our district will probably do something about it.
And speaking of safety, do you trust your teachers with guns in their classrooms? Like, do you think that they should be able to carry a gun with them?
Well, it all depends because some teachers could overuse it, and even though, like, if they don't want to, like, it's just they have a gun to power, so I feel like kids are going to be afraid of the teacher itself.
And do you feel that it's your responsibility to keep yourself safe in school or to protect yourself?
I feel like it's everyone's responsibility. It's also mine, like, my responsibility to take care of myself, but also my teachers and the staff to make sure that they're there to protect me as well.
Anything you want to add?
I think that's it.
Oh, thanks, Martha.
Thank you. Ready?
Alright, and then Kim, if you wanna unplug the batteries, I think you might have to take it off the thing, cause like I think the battery leak is on the bottom of it. We can just swap out the battery, get some full charge. So who's next, Celia?
Julian.
You wanna go get him now? Who?
Is he here? Yeah, I
Is
think he is.
Yeah, he's here.
Okay. We'll start with.
Julian.
Jill.
So we're doing good so far, man.
How many do we have left, Aaliyah? 25. I'm kidding.
I think I think we're really close to that number though.
No, what have we been doing? Well, actually, some of them we've already interviewed about both of these things.
Yeah, we've interviewed some of them. So like some of these, like since we did Martha's already, like part of it, her interview was pretty short. Her
Yeah.
second part is not gonna take very long.
Yeah, because we've
It's
already
like
done
20 something. Like 23.
So who's that?
That we need to do still?
What?
That we need to do still?
Yeah.
Christian, can you do me a favor? When they're done, when the person actually shows up, can you erase intermission? And then once they leave, you need to write intermission back up.
Oh my god, 23.
You can do that?
Mhm.
Appreciate it, man.
I had a horrible handwriting.
It's alright, man. We
It's
just
okay.
need-
His
we just
isn't
needed to
that
say,
pretty
we just
either.
needed to say intermission.
Just as long as you spell it right. Was it robotics? How did that go?
Good.
Did you win?
No.
Oh, did you get,
400 schools.
how many?
400?
Did you get close
24 different
to number
countries,
one?
26 different countries.
Did you go close to number one?
No, close to number 200.
That's still pretty good though. Top 50.
You can sit on the chair, please, sir.
Then you wanna erase it.
So I got it.
Yes. Not yet. Okay. If you could just say your name and your grade and which department you're in. So like actor.
Hi, my name is Julian. I'm a senior, and I'm in the acting department for Wednesday Media.
Does he need the acting one too?
No, just needs gun control.
Okay. So Julian, do you know what March for Our Lives is?
Yes.
Could you describe it a little bit to me?
So it's basically like a movement that was started by teenagers to like try to get more gun control in our country, to try to help like lessen gun violence that's putting a lot of our lives in danger.
And what do you think about the demonstration that took place in Washington, D.C. on March 24th with the thousands of students?
I think it's like good that so many students are like willing to stand up for what they believe in and willing to like, because typically students are like seen as playing video games or whatever during their free time, but these people were like willing to donate their time for a fight they really believe in and like to fight for each other.
So, Julian, how do you feel about the Second Amendment? So, do you think we should be able to bear arms? Like,
And
our
I feel
right
like
to?
we should be able to, but at the same time there should be more restrictions in place that could like help keep people safer and keep like unnecessary gun control out of here.
What kind of restrictions do you think needed to be added?
A more severe background check.
Do you think about school shootings very often, or
No.
no? So, do you feel safe in your school?
Yeah.
Why do you feel so safe in your school? Like, what security do you have?
We have like generic metal detectors, but at the same time I've never felt like the community where I live in is really a big threat to my safety.
But do you still have like that little bit of fear that
No.
something could happen, or no?
No.
Okay. So, speaking of that and safety, do you think your teachers should be able to have guns with them in the classroom?
I feel like personally, like the community I live in, I feel pretty safe. But there might be other neighborhoods that aren't as safe as mine that might benefit with teachers having guns. But personally, I don't think so.
And do you think it's your responsibility to protect yourself in school?
No. That's why I'm thankful we have like security officers at school.
And after everything that's happened and with the topics in the film, what do you hope the messages that the audience receives, or what do you hope happens?
I'm sorry, I'm thinking for my answer. I hope like with this movie I hope we like spread the message that basically we're like all the same, even though there are like small differences that try to like set us apart. Basically we're like all the same, and then if we don't like start respecting each other, bad things could happen and we wouldn't realize it because we're not as united as we should be.
So what are your thoughts on some of the topics that we're covering this year? You know, and in the film we're covering topics like immigration, specifically DACA, Me Too movement against the assault against sexual harassment against women, and Black Lives Matter, which covers a lot of different areas African Americans are facing. So what are your thoughts on the topics of this year that we decided to go after?
I feel that they're like pretty important topics in our modern world. But I feel like not enough people know about what's actually going on. Like there might be like some people who don't have like enough resource, like maybe aren't able to keep up with the news and don't know like the things that are going on, like all the deportations going on, and like the DACA.
So out of the three topics that we're covering this film, immigration, Me Too, and Black Lives Matter, which one do you identify with the most? Or which one do you feel the most passionate about?
So personally, I mean not personally, but right now, a movement that's been like standing out to me is the Me Too movement, because like I've seen like all these people I've grown up with, and like I've heard like all these bad stories happening to them, and I don't feel like it's right and fair for them that these things are actually happening, and like I feel like we should try to stop it as much as we could because it's not good.
So then how do you feel like your role in the film is you represent a DACA student, right? So what are your thoughts about having to portray a DACA student in the film?
So even though I'm not an immigrant myself, I try to put myself in like other people's shoes, like the struggles they had to go through to like try to succeed in the U.S. and like try to stand up for their rights, like so they can like accomplish their dreams here and like become like efficient members of society.
Okay. Anything else you want to add, man, before we let you go? I appreciate you, man.
All of that.
I can't. It's
All right,
live.
who's next? Well, we have Gita
It's
for me.
live.
No,
And then
like
a right intermission for me.
That long pause.
You were great, man. You were great. They were just a little pause, but you like we were asking you some tough questions. You needed to really think about it sometimes.
Your face is so when you said. It's easier if you use the thicker one. Never mind. I was gonna say you can keep going ahead. Oh, you're left-handed? That's cool.
I never knew that. That is pretty cool. You need to hang out with us, man?
sure, why not?
You want to? That's fine. We're just gonna be sitting here doing interviews.
But if you want to, it means you have to ask the interview questions.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
I'm
fine.
kidding.
You just don't need to.
I mean,
ask
if
at
you
the
want
end.
me to, I'll help you, Kim.
I'm kidding.
It's okay. I was saying like so kind of the best structure. You've been doing great. You've been doing this structure. I've kind of just been writing name, position in the film, how long I've been part of media, and then you kind of go into the specific thoughts on some of the topics. That's all I kind of just ask them at the end, depending on which thing they're representing, and the hope, the message. You're getting all these. I'm kind of just having these in case, like, you know, like, cause like you kind of just do it off like, kind of generally, and I think that's been great. But you just like, I'm just letting you know what I'm doing, how I'm coming up with these questions after you're done with
How do they
them.
use these computers? Aren't they just like...
I don't know why I'm laughing. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
That would stress
Just-
me out.
Stress you out, man? Did I put you on
no.
the spot?
Oh, no. I'm just saying about these computers, like, do they come up or do you just use them like that?
You have to look down.
You have to look down, man.
So my uncle did at the bank. Their computers were well with it.
It's so weird.
That would stress me out, like, wouldn't they cause like a strain on your neck?
I think the idea is that since your hands are low, you don't get that one strain on your hands. Because like when you write with a keyboard, your hands are like this, and so the idea is that you'll get more carpal tunnel that way. So the idea is that you're able to rest your hands in more of a natural position, flatly, and you can get stressed.
The gun control question.
Just control.
Yeah.
Where'd Christian go? Oh, there's Christian.
So we just need for Gita gun control questions and then the thoughts and the thumbs place. Hey Gita,
Hello.
we're just gonna ask you a couple questions about your thoughts on some of the topics that we're covering this year for the film.
Okay. So, if you could just say like your name and your grade and like what department you're in.
Okay. Okay, I'm Geeta and I'm a junior at Wyandotte and I'm an actress.
Okay. So, if you could just describe your role for me briefly.
My role is I'm playing a woman who is being assaulted and who is being blamed and then
No, it's okay. You're fine.
okay.
Yeah.
Let me think about my role, okay?
Okay.
Oh my god.
You're fine,
No,
Gita.
you're fine. Which topic in the film does your character represent?
Sexual assault.
And the Me Too movement?
Yeah, me too, Mama.
Okay. That's all we need. No, I'm kidding. Your interview's not done. So, how do you feel about the subject that your character portrays? Like, how do you feel about the Me Too movement?
I feel like I'm really connected to this, even though I'm not like personally been affected by it, but I know a lot of people who have like gone through it, and it was hard for them to come out, but then the Me Too movement has helped them a lot. So I feel like it's something that is actually helping people coming out and then trying to talk to others to let the stress out.
Okay. Now let's talk about gun control.
Okay.
So, do you know what the March for Our Lives movement is?
Yes. So there are like a lot of shooting happening, and people are like walking, so they could have some kind of gun policy, so not everyone could get access to guns, like all the civilians.
And what do you think about the demonstration that took place in Washington, D.C. on March 24th?
I feel it was a really good one. A lot of people came together to march to march for gun control. And I personally feel that not everyone should be allowed to have like guns. I feel like it should only be for the soldiers or who are in a position they could carry guns, and not for everyone.
Okay. So how often do you think about school shootings?
To be honest, like lately I've been thinking a lot. It's been happening a lot, and then I'm scared. Like, what if this can happen in my school? It's like a trend nowadays. You never know what gonna happen.
So speaking of how you feel in school, do you feel safe in your school?
I don't.
You
'Cause
don't?
it's been going around a lot. I'm scared that one day someone's just gonna like come and start.
So, like with the security that you have at your school, do you think it's been effective in the past?
Yes, but then still I don't feel safe even though they're there.
Okay. And do you feel you would trust your teachers to have guns in their classrooms with them?
I trust my teachers, but trusting with gun is like on a different level, so no, I don't.
And do you think it's your responsibility to protect yourself in school?
Yes, because it's my life. Like, people gonna like try to protect their life first before protecting others. So I believe it is my responsibility.
And just going back to the film real quick, what message do you hope goes out there? What message do you hope that people get from seeing it?
I hope people get that they should stand up for themselves. No one is gonna do it, and they should let their voice out, just like how we did in the film. Like, we presented all the social issues that's going on in our country, and I want other people to do the same. I want them to speak up for themselves.
Okay. Anything else you want to add, Gita, before we let you go?
And hope you like the movie.
Great. Appreciate it, Gita. You did great.
You're so cute.
All right, Leah. Who's next?
I'm sorry I took your chair, man.
Alan, then you forgot to erase intermission, man. Like when she,
Oh, yeah.
when she shut up. Had one job, man. One job.
I didn't realize you
Alright, go
were
to
here.
DJ again.
Joseph V.
Joseph
Villanueva.
Villanueva. So when he shows up, man, you need to erase it. Okay? Not right now. When he shows up.
I'm so tired and I have to go to my niece's communion practice after this.
How do you doing?
Yeah, I'm gonna be her godmother on Sunday, so I have to go to this.
Oh, okay, yeah, I feel you.
I hope it takes like 10 seconds so I can go home and eat dinner. I'm starving. I didn't eat lunch today.
You didn't grab any of the pizza here because you don't feel that kind of stuff, or?
Yeah, I got a couple pieces. Olivia saved some for me because I got here late. So it's nice. I'm starving. I just really want some ice cream. I want a Mamma Mia though.
That doesn't sound really good right now.
I got one yesterday.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Where'd you go, Tropicana?
Yeah. I like them better from Daisy's though. Daisy's on Kansas Avenue?
I think it's around there,
Yeah. By California Tacos.
yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Those are so good, I love it.
I think after California Tacos, they're okay, but I think I like it at 32 better. Over there on Central. They're really good.
Everybody hypes up Bonnie from Michoacan.
Everyone only hypes them up because they're $1.
True.
That's the only reason people
Because
hype
we're
them.
all broke.
True. I feel like everywhere has tacos. Everywhere has dollar tacos now.
Yeah. You can go to Danny's and eat tacos for $1 on Tuesdays.
Not can you?
Yeah, load up with religions.
There's a place on 10th Street that has like dollar tacos like every day of the week. Not the best, but they are dollar tacos.
Which one?
It's called I think it's called El Pueblito or something like that. It's like a really small place over there off.
Hold on, let me think. I think I know what you're talking about.
10th Street, I only know Tacos on Wheels and Tacos en
so
Tío.
cute. Hold on, I feel like that name sounds so familiar.
I couldn't find him.
He's not here?
He's here.
Who are you looking
He
for?
was in that room, one in that room.
You check the bathroom.
I did.
Alright, we'll get someone else then. We'll come back to him. Oh yes, who else do we need?
Tom.
Is Tom here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom?
You know
Tom.
who Tom is, right?
La lengua.
Oh, he's a senior, right? The
Yeah,
Tom?
the
Yeah,
senior
I know
plays
it.
soccer.
I know it.
It's not a boy.
Girl.
Oh, is it his sister?
It's not Justin or Amanda. Tom. Just go ask for Tom.
Yeah, man. If you need to ask Cynthia. She knows who these people are. We're live, man. You can't be saying that, man.
A minute ago we had 3 viewers and then we lost it.
We were doing so good.
Oh my god.
These intermissions are taking quite a bit, though. I feel like this is really killing into our time for interviews.
Yeah, it is. What if we have, while one person's interviewing, like towards the middle, going at the next person,
That would probably be better.
and then just keep it going like that?
Yeah, we'll do it that way. Because I feel like it's taking way too long.
Yeah, it's already 3:15.
We already spent like 5 minutes just waiting. Now we have 3 people watching. And then that means there's 2 other people watching besides me.
You know how we should have started it like in iCarly? You know the I know you know,
Kimberly, please.
like a thing song. Sometimes the world won't change. I love that one. We're back at 1. We lost 2 viewers.
It happens when there's something going on, man.
They heard. Oh, they heard the iCarly theme song and said, "I'm gone."
I think they're checking to make sure there's actually something going on.
Oh look, we're back at. We were at 3 and then 2.
We're at 3 right now.
Christian, are you doing this?
No.
No, we're at 2.
Oh, we're at 2.
No. It came on and then it went back off. Should I just sit there?
So, Elias, who can we get after
Tom.
Tom? So, like, kind of just after we do this person, who should go next? So then I can send him immediately to go get him. Monique. Have we not done Monique?
Since he's still looking for
Nothing,
Tom,
nothing.
Julian, can you get Monique real quick? Julian,
Okay.
please.
Yeah, that'd be great, man. 'Cause I don't know why it's taking so long.
Look, you found her.
Go find Monique.
Hi, Tong, if you could just sit there. He's so fast. Does she need both of them or one?
Gun control.
What?
I've been controlling topics.
Hey, if you could just say your name, your grade, and what your department you're in.
My name is Tong, and I'm a junior, and I'm in the art department.
So, Tong, how do you feel about the subjects of the film?
Oh, actually, I really like it because like a few years ago we only did like one like topic, but here we like combine like a lot of different topics, which is pretty good. It's organized.
Out of the topics of the film, which one do you feel you can connect to the most?
I mean, I think I could connect to all of them, but I guess the one that stands out the most would be the police brutality. Yeah, that one hit hard.
And do you have any personal experiences with any of the subjects of the film?
For the Me Too part, I mean, not like necessarily personally, but I mean, I've seen it like happen.
Okay, and moving on to gun control. Do you know what the March for Our Lives movement is? With the teenagers in Florida.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And could you just give me some like details about what you know about it?
I guess what I've heard is like, to ban like the usage of it. I mean, just like to keep it like under control and not like not so much of a privilege.
And what do you think about the demonstration that took place in Washington, D.C. on March 24th?
I think that was like a very like brave movement. Like, it's just powerful how like teenagers and like kids their voices like able to be heard, and that was just strong.
And how do you feel about the Second Amendment?
I mean, as you know, like gun is not like it's not a right, but it's like a privilege. So like the right to bear arms is like we can't really do anything about it. I think it's I don't have much say to it.
So, do you feel something could be changed?
Yes and no, because I mean, something could be changed, but if it's possible, is it possible? I mean, that's debatable.
What do you think should happen?
Not necessarily everyone can agree with it, like gun being like under control now, like, but I think it can be a little bit controlled. But right now, I mean, it just depends on who's holding the gun, who's behind the trigger.
And what kind of restrictions do you think that they should put on it to make it a little harder to get a gun?
Like a mental check.
Like if somebody's mentally
Mhm. Mhm.
capable. Okay. Now going back to school shootings, how often do you think about them?
Actually, it just depends. Honestly, within my school, I don't think there would be, but there would be like, I mean, sometimes when I look at some students, I mean, it's possible, but it's most likely not going to happen.
So do you feel safe in your school?
Most of the time, yes.
Why do you feel safe most of the time?
Because I know that like our students, they're wild, but I know that like they're not. That's something they wouldn't do, even though they're capable of doing it. But like, the one would in the right mind would like actually, you know, shoot up a school.
And speaking of safety, do you think your teachers should be able to have guns with them? Like, do you trust your teachers, or how would you feel if they had guns in the classroom?
I trust my teachers, but I know that like, you know, if they have a gun in their hand, they're gonna feel like more powerful. And I feel like people who feel powerful they're more of like, oh, I have control over this, so like I could do anything I want. So I feel like it's not a great idea to actually, like, I trust my teachers and stuff, but I don't think it will bring like positivity to the classroom.
And do you think it's your responsibility to protect yourself at school?
It's your responsibility, but since it's like a public school, whereas the one I attend, like I feel like there should also be like security. Yeah, I should feel secure in my own school, and not just be dependent on myself.
So the March for Our Lives movement left a message with everybody about how gun control and there needs to be more gun control. So what message do you hope people get from the film?
To not just like really easily give away like gun, for like to make it harder for people to actually, you know, have a gun in their hands and stuff.
And what message do you think they should get about the other subjects of the film?
To take it more serious and to not be complacent. Like, I know like sometimes when things don't like really apply to us, like we just like, oh, you look and then, you know, just look and then walk away. But I mean, sometimes like these things could happen to actually like your family members or anybody close by. But just, you know, everyone has a voice.
And is there anything you would like to add?
Well,
All right, appreciate it, Tom.
Thanks.
You're still injured?
I have to do my surgery. And I messed it up more last week.
You have surgery?
I need to.
Diego! Do we need both? Ah,
Yeah.
both. Ah, okay. Good. You good? Oh, he's an actor.
And then we need to grab after you.
Can you scoot your chair over just a little bit this way?
Start grabbing them.
Hold on.
I mean, whoever's available.
Never mind.
You wanna look?
So whenever you're ready, let's start.
So, if you just say your name, your grade, and what department you're in.
Alright, hello, my name is Diego Garcia. I am a senior and I am in the acting department.
So, Diego, what is your role in the film?
So I am an actor and I play the last one, or the last one character.
And how passionate do you feel about your role? Like, about what your character represents?
Well, I say I can relate with my character because I'm supposed to play the character that is supposed to be complacent, or a person who's complacent in our society when things are happening in our society that affects us negatively, but we choose not to do anything. And I feel like I've done that before in the past, where I knew things are happening around me, or things that actually affect people from my, for example, ethnic group, and I choose to just keep living my life normally, acting as if the world is good.
And why did you choose this specific character?
Funny story. I didn't really pick my character. Just one day Todd said, "Hey, you're gonna be the glasses guy," and I was chosen.
And out of all the topics of the film, which one do you have any personal experiences?
Personal experiences. Well, I am an immigrant. I was born in Mexico. I immigrated here to the U.S. at the age of 6 on a visa, on a tourist visa, and I overstayed it, of course. But yeah, so like, I would relate to the immigration side of the things, because I am an immigrant. I'm not here legally, and I understand like the struggles I have to go through, and I understand what other people are going through, and some people have it worse than me. I'd say, for example, I qualify for DACA. There's some people out there that don't qualify for that, and they're like, for example, they're in school and they have no financial aid, and they can't really work legally, so it's hard for them to study, and a lot of times people end up giving up and just finding a job, any job they can get to support their family instead of continuing their education.
And what message do you hope people get from this film?
Well, the message I hope people get from this is that don't wait until whatever is happening in the world affects you to do something, and be proactive and actually be aware of what's happening in your world, in your country, and maybe try to do something that will help your society.
Now, onto gun control. Do you know what March for Our Lives is?
Yeah.
You could just describe it to me just a little bit.
So March for Our Lives is basically, I'd say, the protest against, say, people who oppose the right to bear arms. And I'd say it's a step in the right direction, but there's a lot of counter arguments. For example, like, let's say everyone in the U.S. just gave up their guns, and the only people that own guns are the government or the military. They would be capable of basically controlling us, and we would fear our lives because we would really not have any way to fight back. But either way, it's very unlikely for something like that to happen.
And what do you think about the demonstration that took place in Washington, D.C. on March 24th?
I think it's a good sign. It means that more people are caring, and definitely, again, a step in the right direction. And hopefully it can bring change in a good way, so the future of our future generations are in track of doing great things.
And how do you feel about the Second Amendment?
Personally, I just feel like they need to make the background checks more stricter, and we really need to target the mental health. I feel like a lot of times the reason for these school shootings or just massacres is due to assault rifles or things of that nature. It's just due to people who grew up in a family maybe that people didn't care about, or just people that just are born in that way that they're not right in their head.
How often do you think about school shootings?
Well, so I have a Twitter, and every once in a while I always go through the what's trending page, and I always know when a school shooting happens because it's always in the front page. So if there's a school shooting, I know it happened. Almost instantly, I'm usually the one to tell people, like, did you hear about the school shooting? And it's like, people are numb to it now. They're like, oh, another one. It's crazy, but yeah.
So Diego, do you feel safe in your school?
I do, for one reason only, that we have metal detectors. I feel like that's a great safety net to avoid these type of problems. But other than that, anything could happen, really. So if someone wants to sneak in a gun into our school, and hopefully it'll never happen, a shooting happens, it's gonna happen.
And do you trust your teachers to have guns in their classroom? Like, how would you feel?
Oh, definitely not. So like, I'm gonna like relate this to a meme. Like I said, like my teacher can't even figure out who's talking in class, and we're gonna trust her to shoot the right person. Like I know this is bad humor, but to every joke there's a truth to it.
And do you think it's your responsibility to protect yourself in school?
Somewhat, but not 100%. That's also why, like, when we enter school, we lose certain rights because they're taking care of us.
Okay. And is there anything else you'd like to add or say?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Thanks, Diego.
Alright. I was moving on a lot.
Appreciate it, man. All right, Joseph. You're up, man. You know, what's everyone else doing?
Just chilling, just bowling.
Recording, Christopher's doing the mic, and then
Okay,
Monique is
ready?
interviewing.
Sure.
Okay, just pick one. Just pick one to look at.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
So if you just say your name, your grade, and what department you're in.
My name is Joseph Villanueva. I'm a senior. My department was I created we made up the story, the film, and I'm also an actor for most of my acting. But yeah.
So if you could just give like a brief summary of what's going on in the film, like with the different subjects.
So the subject was like incomplacency. So we had like a Trump support. I could say Trump, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there was a Trump supporter, and it was the day after the election, and he had won. And I guess the Trump supporter thinks he's in charge, and everyone else is a minority, but all the class is a minority except for him. So he kind of makes everyone turn against each other, and the people start disappearing. And we had like DACA supporters and Black Lives Matter and Me Too people, and then at the end we had a millennial. And at the end, just the school shooter just comes in, and it kind of ends the film.
And how do you feel about the subjects in the film?
I feel like the subjects are like something like real and deep. It's actually happening like in this world. It's like, and yeah, I don't know. It's something we can't like really avoid that much, but yeah.
And do you have any personal experiences with the subjects in the film?
Not really. I know a lot of stories happened, and I know I have family members who have DACA, and it's kind of like worries my family, and yeah.
Okay. And what message do you hope the audience gets, or what message do you hope goes out from this film?
Well, I just hope like the message that gets out is like everyone's doing the right thing. We need people like to stand up for what's right instead of just like being a bystander and watching it just like happen. Yeah.
Now, moving on to gun control, do you know what the March for Our Lives movement is?
No.
Okay, so March for Our Lives is, well, it was kind of started by the students in Parkland, the Parkland school shooting, to get more restrictions put on gun control. So like more restrictions on who can get gun control and when they get them.
Yeah.
And did you hear about the demonstration that took place in Washington, D.C. on March 24th with the thousands of students?
What demonstration? Like what happened?
Thousands of students went to Washington, D.C. and a bunch of people gave speeches. One of them was Emma Gonzalez, one of the Parkland school shooting survivors. How do you feel that affected people?
I feel like it affected people because she was like there. She was one of the people that experienced what happened, and she had the strength to come out and try to like stand up for what was right. And yeah, it's like she was young, and a lot of people like listened to her message she had to give in front of like millions of people. Yeah.
And how do you feel about the Second Amendment?
Honestly, I feel like the march, it was correct because there should be people who are able to defend themselves and defend their families, but not everyone should be able to just easily get a gun like from anywhere. But yeah.
And what restrictions do you think should be put in place for gun control?
I just feel like it should depend on like their backgrounds, kind of like you have to check like their like records of what they've done before, or like what they need it for, and just have like a good reason to buy a gun.
How often do you think about school shootings?
Honestly, I think about school shootings a lot lately. It's like at my school, I have classes in trailers, and there's not really any like security, so like at any moment, like someone could walk in with a gun and start shooting people. So yeah.
So do you feel safe in your school, like every part of your school? Or?
No, definitely not. Like in school, maybe sometimes because there's like there's security officers and stuff, but that's only like not in every entrance, only the main one. And in the trailers, like the doors from my classrooms are open, so you could just open them whenever you want. And maybe they just put a gate right now, but there's still other ways to get in. So yeah.
And do you trust your teachers with guns in the classrooms? Like, how would you feel if a teacher had a gun?
I think it depends what teacher. Like, there's some teachers that I think they can avoid like a school shooting, but there's others that you can't really know what they'll do with the gun. So it really depends on the teacher. Yeah.
And do you think it's your responsibility to protect yourself in school?
I think like maybe a little bit, but it's mostly the schools because like we're there to learn, and they should be able to find ways to like protect us from anything or any harm. So.
And is there anything else you want to say or add?
No, that's all.
Appreciate it, man.
Thanks.
Yeah, we get 2 more people. That'd be great, man. You ready, Irma?
Don't knock the camera.
Appreciate you just waiting over there.
Go on. Go. You're small.
Give him a couple years. He'll probably be taller than me.
It's like a little baby. Okay.
Which one am I supposed to look at?
Either one. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
So if you just like your name, your grade, and what department you're in.
My name is Irma Lemus. I am a junior at Summer Academy, and I was one of the people that helped create the script because I introduced rape, the Me Too movement, and what was the last question? That was it?
That was it. So if you could, what inspired you to talk about the subjects that are in the film?
Well, I was sexually harassed when I was a kid, 3 different times by 3 different men. So that's why I proposed rape. And like lately in the news, there have been a lot of powerful men who have been exposed because they have raped women and think that they can get away with it. So I thought it would be a great subject to talk about.
So, which subject in the film do you think people will relate to the most?
That's a really hard question because
like which subject in the film that you're talking about do you think will hit people the hardest?
I think just the people that are the people that are talking back to the ones that are offending others. because does that make sense?
It's like the complacent ones, the ones that
yeah,
aren't.
well, yeah, in a sense, because people don't speak up, and like they feel like offended and everything, but they don't say anything. So I think that's who they resonate most with.
And what message do you hope people will get from this film? It's gonna die.
I hope that people do something for once. Like try to educate themselves about the issues that they're afraid of or that they don't know anything about, and just try to do something. Like it doesn't have to be anything big, like donate, but try and speak up and talk about it and educate others.
Now, onto the gun control portion. Do you know what March for Our Lives is?
Yes, I do.
And could you give me a brief description of what it is?
March, what is it, for Our Lives, right?
Yeah.
It was basically created by Emma Gonzalez, which is one of the survivors of the Parkland shooting in Florida. And it's just a bunch of people of all races and colors that come together and they're marching for a change in the Second Amendment.
And what do you think about the demonstration that took place in Washington, D.C. on March 24th?
I think it was iconic. I watched it live streamed and everything, and it was really symbolic. Like, Emma has some real guts for saying what she said, and being in silence for, I think it was 7 minutes and 21 seconds to honor the lives of the 17 people that were lost that day.
How do you feel about the Second Amendment?
Well, it's a really controversial topic, and
do you think people should have the right to own guns, like anybody should?
I think everyone has the right to own guns, but to a certain extent, not everyone can have a gun. I think there should be more background checks and that people should be more regulated. Like, if you compare our gun laws and everything to other countries are way stricter. The only reason is because people feel they have the need to have guns, and it's been around for such a long time.
How often do you think about school shootings?
I've always thought about them since I was a kid. I lived in the hood, I guess you could say. And we had a bomb threat when I was a 6th grader, so like shootings, guns, all that stuff was pretty common to me, so I guess for a long time.
And do you feel safe in your school right now?
Right now? I guess, yeah. I guess you could say I feel safe.
What safety precautions do they take at your school?
At Sumner, we have metal detectors. We have where we put our bags through, and they look through everything, well, most of the things in our bags. And we have security officers. We have like 3 of them, I think. Yeah. And the new fence they installed.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Okay. The new fence is still climbable.
That's true.
How would you feel if your teachers had guns in the classrooms? Do you think they should be able to?
I don't think teachers should be able to have guns in classrooms. I think that's ridiculous. And guns is just more of a problem. It's not the solution. And I mean, teachers with guns, that just doesn't make sense. Can you imagine like Mr. Malone with a gun or
Mr. Gunner?
Yeah, exactly. It's just weird.
And do you think it's your responsibility to protect yourself in school?
I don't think that's my responsibility. I think I should be able to feel safe at school. I think that's the responsibility of the administrators and the teachers in general, yeah.
And is there anything else you would like to say or add?
I'm looking forward to seeing what this film can do and how people will be inspired by it. That's all.
Thanks, Irma.
Appreciate it, Irma.
Who'd you bring?
Amanda. And there you go.
Joseph did?
I already did. We already did his.
Joseph.
So
you did?
yeah. So
Wait,
go.
which Joseph?
The Joseph V.
Hey, Craig.
Oh.
We did V and we did.
Gun control.
Yeah.
Then go get Joseph McCray.
Yeah, so if you can grab, that'd be great, man.
Hey, Amanda. Which one does she need? Gun control. Hey. You could just say your name, your grade, and your department you're in.
My name is Amanda Hodge,
Uh-huh.
and I am a junior, and I am in the art department.
Oh, nice. So, Amanda, how do you feel about the topics in the film?
I feel like a lot of the topics are something a lot of people can relate to, really relevant.
And which topic do you feel you can relate to the most?
I feel like I can relate to the Me Too one, and also the Me Too one.
And what is it about the Me Too movement that you can relate to?
Just how the treatment of women, and how, like in one of the lines, the antagonist says that, you know, women are nasty, and how women are just made to have babies and cook and stay home, and that's just not really what we're limited to, because we have a lot of powers in our hand.
Girl power, that's what
Yeah.
it's about. I am not going to be a man's mom. So, do you have any personal experiences with any of the subjects?
I've had, I think with the Me Too one, I probably have some personal experience with that one. And with the DACA movement, like, I'm not, like, illegal or anything, but I am, my parents, people would consider my parents immigrants. They're actually, like, refugees and, like, looked down upon when they came to the United States. And so we would be somewhere under that. And also with the Me Too one, with just being a girl and having people looking down on me.
So, on to gun control. Do you know what the March for Our Lives movement is?
To an extent, I know what it is.
Could you just briefly describe it to me?
It was a march led by students, by survivors of the shooting in Florida, and they wanted to make a change about the gun laws.
And what do you think about the demonstration that took?
I need to pause this just for a second. We'll cut it right back. The team is asking that we all take a group picture real quick. So we're gonna put this on pause, Amanda. We're gonna get right back to you though, all right? I hate to cut you off. You're doing great.
And in a while we have, I guess, intruder alert drills.
Okay, do you trust your teachers to have guns with them in their classroom? Like, how do you feel about that?
I feel like if teachers had guns, I would feel less safe at school. Like, it just feels like I've had my life at risk, even at school.
And do you think it's your responsibility to protect yourself at school?
No, I feel like school should be a safe environment, somewhere where I don't have to worry about my life being at risk.
And is there anything else you'd like to say or add? Thanks, Amanda.
You're great. Ready, man?
Move on.
No, let's make sure they all got in. There were coming in people that were in the actual film.
Which camera?
Straight down the middle
Yeah,
with
just
crazy
look
eyes.
between them. Just look at Kim.
You know what? Just do you know how to cross your eyes?
Oh my God.
So that way you can look at both. Okay. So you can just like your name, your grade, and what department you're in.
My name is Joseph McCray. I'm a sophomore at Washington High School. And what?
What's your department like?
Oh, yeah, I'm an actor.
Okay. So, Joseph, you said you're an actor. What's your role in the film?
I played Tyrone, and I was the one who got up and tried to fight Frank.
And why is this still Amanda? Is there any special, like, is there any like thing that your character